What's up, everybody? It's the Digital World Podcast, and this video kind of summarizes the onset of this financial crisis. And I think when you piece it all together, you see that it does not make sense. And Stanley Druckenmiller, one of the most famous, if not one of the best investors of the last several decades, tells it how it is. And I think if you hear what he says, you have to be paying attention because he manages a lot of money. So I think you need to hear this interview. And I played this before a while back, but it's always a good time to go ahead and revisit this. Take a listen.
I was just incredibly frustrated with what to me looked like a Fed that was just taking unbelievable risks. For what? The story at the time was inflation was 1.7, and we were buying 120 billion bonds a month. This was post-vaccine, successful vaccine, because inflation was 1.7 instead of 2. So we're taking this massive gamble where you threaten 40 years of credibility with inflation, and you're blowing up the wildest raging asset bubble I've ever seen. And I knew that the worst economies happen post-asset bubbles.
Now that's important to note. The worst economies happen post-asset bubbles.
The 30s here, post-89 in Japan, after the housing bubble blew up here. The Fed did $2 trillion in QE after vaccine confirmation, and after the time I went on, you had the strongest momentum in employment in history on a rate of change basis. At the same time, their partner in crime, the administration, was doing more fiscal stimulus, again, post-vaccine, after it was clear emergency measures weren't needed, than we did in the entire great financial crisis. I'm not talking about before the vaccine, I'm talking about after. Look, it turned out I was right. I've been wrong plenty of times in my life. The Fed was wrong, they made a big mistake. It's not so much that they were wrong, I've been wrong a lot. It's the risk-reward bet they made. If you look at what the Fed did, the radical gamble they took to get inflation up 30 basis points from 1.7 to 2, it's to me sort of a risk-reward bet. You bet one to lose 40, and they lost. And who really lost? Poor people in the United States ravaged by inflation, the middle class, and my guess is the US economy for years to come, because of the extent of the asset bubble in time and duration and breadth that went on.
So there you have it. I mean, he just laid it down for you in simple layman terms. And this is why I'm harping on the fact, folks, I mean, look at what's happening in Sudan, okay? There's been like these, terrorists that took over a lab. Out of all things, a lab. Interesting, right? Think about it. And they're saying that, diseases like measles, cholera, etc., things that haven't been heard of in a while. And you're hearing the WHO saying that there's risk of these spreading. Folks, they're telling you there's going to be another pandemic, and a lot of people will be affected by it. And they'll say that because people didn't get their inoculations due to hesitancy, etc., yada, 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 so forth and so on. So you have a whirlwind of a perfect storm coming at you from every angle. And you tell me, are we going to have a meltdown in society? That's why I urge you, I implore you to be prepared. And it's just doing one step at a time. Okay? Get closer to achieving that one step at a time, and you'll find yourself in a much better place. It's of the utmost importance, folks. because whether the Fed, whether there's something else down the pike, which there will be, and they try to prop up the economy in various ways, which they will, you just got to be prepared, because if you think, it was bad in the last couple of 2-3 years, you just wait till this next one. Magnitudes worse of what you just experienced. So, folks, be prepared. Don't take this lightly, and help each other. All right. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe to the channel. It's the Digital World Podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode.